Trucker Dump for December 16th, 2009, episode 34, Why I Do This.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com. Resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Hey there, folks. Hope your Christmas shopping is going well, or Hanukkah shopping, or whatever you're shopping for. You have started, haven't you? Todd McCann here. When I talk about my blog and Twitter, the evil overlord's eyes roll back in her head and she starts drooling. She just doesn't get it. I doubt she's alone here. Maybe this will help. The title of today's show pretty much explains itself. Let's find out why I do this. Most every day on my Twitter account, that's at twitter.com/Todd McCann, that's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's, I post a little ditty about trucking. Here was my post from a couple of days ago. Daily Trucking Tidbit. As you do your Christmas shopping today, remember that every item you see was delivered by a truck driver. That seems fairly benign, doesn't it? Well, for this I received a message from a follower and fellow trucker that basically told me to check my bloated ego at the door and do my job like every other American worker out there. His point was that lots of workers are responsible for getting a product onto the shelves. Everyone from the forklift driver to the secretary in the front office all do their part in the process. He's right. Now here's my point. How many people do you hear complaining about unsafe forklift drivers? Ever heard of anyone complaining about the nuisance of having too many secretaries? I didn't think so. Now, when was the last time you heard someone having the same complaints about truckers and trucks? As I explained in a message to my attacker, I'm not looking for any sympathy out here. I chose this job and I can leave it any time I feel like it, or so I like to tell myself. One of my goals for writing a blog and tweeting my fingers to the bone is to let the general public have a glimpse into the life of a trucker. I'm thinking that the more someone knows about what we go through to deliver the goods that they need and love, the more respect we'll get, both personally and professionally. On the personal side, I'm not too worried about what folks think about me as a person. Sure, most people love me because I'm so freaking adorable, but even if they didn't, I wouldn't slit my wrists over it. What I'm really hoping is for people to give trucks a second thought when they encounter them on the road. Yeah, I know, I may as well wish for an obedient wife that hangs on my every word, but hey, what's life without hopes and dreams? Think about it. Other than truckers themselves, who are the people who are most helpful to a truck tooling down the road? You know, the car that lets you change lanes in front of them? Or the minivan that stays back from the intersection so you can get around that tight right turn? I'd be willing to bet that the majority of these helpful drivers know a truck driver. I've had friends tell me that they pay more attention to trucks nowadays simply because they know the evil overlord and I drive one. How about you, truckers? If you're anything like me, before I started driving a truck, I hated trucks. Then again, some days I still do. Nowadays, when I'm off duty, I help other truckers when I can. Usually it's just helping a driver merge into traffic or something easy like that, but one time it called for a bit more effort. One cold Christmas day, we stopped to pick up a trucker who had run out of fuel. To make matters worse, he didn't even have a gas can. As you can imagine, it took quite a while to find a store that was actually open on Christmas, buy the gas can, go fill it up, and take him back to his truck. When the engine wouldn't start, we made another run to fill the fuel can. After that, he insisted that I go on with my day, saying that if it still didn't start then, there wasn't anything I could do to help. At that point, I was kind of glad. Now, I'd like to think that I'm a helpful kind of guy, but if I wasn't a trucker myself, that guy might still be sitting on the side of the road. I can easily see someone who has a friend or a family member who's a trucker doing the same thing. I believe I forgot to mention that I had a carload of 8 family members at the time. Not one of them complained. I apologized to him when the guy went in to pay for the second can of fuel, but they just said, hey, what if that was you guys? We'd hope someone would stop for you. Once again, consideration because they knew a couple of truckers. So that's my goal, to have world peace through my blog and a few tweets. Okay, not realistic. Still, if shedding a little light on the trucking lifestyle makes a few more people drive a little safer and friendlier around trucks, then I'm not wasting my time. And if you still aren't going to help me change lanes, then you better start scooching over. I've had my signal on way too long. Freaking jerk.
Hey, yo, bud, where do you want this load of feedback?
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Told y'all this post was popular. I still don't know why, but I do get a lot of traffic to it. And I also got a lot of comments, so I'm loving that. So let's start out with our old friend Truck Driver News. He says, "Hey Todd, hope the holiday's treating you well. Another great post here, a lot of good info to it. I guess I am one of the ignorant ones though, but I have driven a few auto shifts and still don't like them. But the ones I drove were from the Freightliner factory in North Carolina, and most of the time they wouldn't make it past the Freightliner dealership just outside of Charlotte. They were probably put together on a Friday, or at least that's what I always said when I would break down on one of them. It could have been that this was a few years ago and they were still working the bugs out of them too. But anyway, in a manual I never double clutched one either, so I don't think I was going to wear my knee out. Have a good one and keep up the good postings. Jason." Well, Jason, I hope your turkey day was great too. I gotta say, I was surprised to hear about your troubles with automatic transmissions. The first one I drove was in 1998, and in 4.5 years, we never had a problem. Our company's maintenance department said they were nearly as reliable as a manual tranny. We've driven automatics on and off ever since without one little glitch. Knock on wood. I only met one team who had a problem with automatics. Their truck was in the shop and they weren't happy about it. Other than that, every driver who has actually driven them has been ecstatic, even a bit surprised at their reliability. Maybe you just had some bad mojo at the time. That does suck though. New Lindsay wrote in. That's a first time, I believe. She's one of Pam Court's friends, I believe. I think she works with her. Yep, she does. She says, "Yay, awesome post. I never knew trucks had automatic transmissions or how cool they were. Keep the posts coming." Well, Lindsay, thanks for leaving a comment. Glad you learned a little something. I love writing this blog. It's just hard to find the time, especially this close to Christmas. Freight is cooking like a short order cook on crack. And lo and behold, Pam Court writes in and says, "This is my favorite trucker blog ever. True story." Really, folks, Pam is kind of like George Washington. She cannot tell a lie. Then again, she did forget to mention that mine is the only trucking blog she reads. And what do you know, another friend and coworker of Pam. Heidi writes in and says, "I cannot believe I read an entire post on shifting gears automatically or manually on a semi and loved it. And I even learned a few clever cliches too. Thanks, Todd. Say hi to the evil overlord for me." Well, Heidi, I'm glad you enjoyed the post and learned some new terminology. Similarly, I always enjoy your posts on wedding stuff, despite the fact that I hope to never have another wedding again. The evil overlord says hi back. And by the way, folks, there's a link to her blog in the show notes. Or you can just go to trulyengaging.com. Oh, we're not done yet. We're still going. Ozbra says, "We have 5 Smart Shift trucks and we love them. It makes any drive a pleasure, no shifting. The only thing is not to forget to push the clutch in for a full stop. I forgot once at a weight scale and I rocked the house. The state trooper inside was not happy about it. Hee hee hee." That's funny, Oz. Well, I'll share that chuckle with you, Oz. Making a trooper grumpy? Well, it's the little things in life that bring much joy. I too have driven automatics with and without clutch pedals. I too have been brought to a jolting stop by forgetting to match the clutch pedal. I've also rammed my left foot to the floorboard on models lacking the pedal. Either way, you wind up feeling like an idiot. Thanks for your comment, Oz. And lastly, Clyde Clower Jr. Man, that's a mouthful. I believe he's new to the site. Welcome, Clyde. He says, "Great idea to put controls next to the wheel. What happened to the windshield wiper control stick?" Ha! Automatics and downhill grades can quickly ruin your day. New drivers, take heed. It will kill you. Glad you mentioned that. I've had my moments of seat grabbing like everyone else. Manual control is the only way to run down steep grades. Great to see Eaton Fuller has fixed this way overdue and overlooked safety issue. Thanks. Well, thanks for your comment, Clyde. It's always nice to have experienced drivers back up what I say. It helps in fooling people into believing I actually know what I'm talking about. You know, that's a good point though, people. Like Clyde writes in, he's an experienced driver, and when he backs up what I say or he argues with me, It's a good thing. The more truckers that weigh in on this, the better. I want abouttruckdriving.com and the Trucker Dump blog to be a place where, people can come and find out all about trucking issues. And if they just hear my point of view, it's not near as good. If they can look down in the comments or listen to this podcast and hear the comments from other experienced truckers, it makes it all the more of a credible site. So I really do appreciate it when you experienced truckers write in. Keep it up. Again, I'll mention audio comments. I haven't received one of those yet. That would be cool to get. Like I said, you can probably do that on your smartphone. Just talk right into it, hit the email button, type truckerdump@gmail.com in there, send it off. And it'd be cool to be able to play one of those. So I gave you my email address. Here's all the other junk. And seriously, folks, thanks again for writing in. I love when I get this many comments. So why do you use social media? Which is your favorite? Or maybe you write your own blog. Why don't you let us all know about it by typing TD034 into the search bar at abouttruckdriving.com and leaving a comment. If you're not already subscribed to the blog, please do so while you're there. If you'd prefer to contact me via email, you can reach me at truckerdump@gmail.com. I also spend a bit too much time on Twitter, so you can always holler at me over there. Just search for Todd McCann. That's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's. And if you haven't already, there's a beautiful subscribe button over on iTunes. You should click it. And please leave a review if you've got a second. Thanks for listening. So until next time, drive safe and stay out of my way.